Start.
All right, I've already started. This is like we're live, man.
We're live, so we're a minute early. So if you're watching, thank you for being on time.
This is like for this
is a bonus feature, a bonus minute.
A bonus minute. That's hilarious. Yeah, for all you guys who joined 30 seconds earlier, Craig's gonna lift up his shirt for you.
All right, I'm checking out.
Oh.
I'm checking out till 10 o'clock.
Oh wow, already?
There we go.
I kid.
All right.
Oh, look at that. I see ourselves live over here to my left. We're on the interweb, boys. Here we go.
I don't believe it.
See, Jonathan Howell already piped in. Bonus. He wants Craig to lift up his shirt.
That's my dude. Hey, Jonathan. Jonathan, you see this? It's for you, buddy.
Oh, wow. Let me see that. I didn't see that. Oh, there you go. Nice. Nice. Okay. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, that's it's the shirt from Jonathan's. Yep, that's right. He's wearing my shirt. Jonathan's podcast, Minute Impossible.
All right. Well, I'm glad we're done plugging Jonathan's show.
Yeah. So, are you guys ready to run down Get Carter?
Uh-oh.
We took a vote, right?
Hang on, I gotta prepare.
Yeah. Let me guess. Get Carter. Quick hot take on Get Carter. Terrible goatee, terrible suit. Next.
Next movie.
All right, guys. Well, how excited are we to talk about Copland today?
Very. I got to tell you, and not to get ahead of myself here, and as my dog tries to chew the microphone cable, watching this back again after quite a few years, man, I got so amped for what we're about to do.
How long had it been since you've seen this?
God, probably a good 10 years.
Wow.
It had been quite a while.
It's been a while. I haven't seen this in a little while, but it felt like it felt familiar. Like I wasn't really surprised by anything when I was watching.
Right. Okay, same here. Did any of you see in the theater on its original release?
Yeah, I went and saw this in the theater.
Yeah, me too.
I did as well. Yeah.
Okay. Well, look at that, guys. Look at that. We helped the box office, and the box office was $45 million domestically, which in today's dollars would have been about $65 million domestic.
But what it cost to make? It had to cost like $4 to make.
Yeah, it's not a very flashy movie. There's no CGI, very simple stunts. It's basically a play. Yeah, very cheap. And I know Stallone, and I don't know about the other actors, but didn't Stallone take just SAG wages on this?
I think so. And I've talked about this on SlyCast before, and knowing the Weinsteins are involved in this movie and were sort of involved in what happened to Sly directly after this. Like I said, we've talked about this on the SlyCast before. There's got to be more to this story, because this was really a point in Sly's career where he had the opportunity to pivot and go back towards, that more of the acting side of things and the less physical, action star role, which was appropriate for a guy that was, the age that he was. And man, if those Weinsteins didn't sabotage him, I love where his career has gone since this. It hit some rough patches, but I'd love to be in the alternate universe where we see some of the other movies that Sly made as a quote unquote actor.
Yeah, and I just realized looking at my screen here, I'm not too sure why you guys aren't popping up when you're talking. I apologize for that. It's just my ugly face up here.
You have to click on your face again. Right?
Is that how it happens? If I click on Craig right now, does he pop up? Let's see.
Yeah.
Maybe if I do it manually, I'll try that. Okay. I'm sorry. That's terrible. I'll do it. I'll be like a director. Oh yeah, it does work. So I'll make sure whoever's talking, I'll click on their face. Okay. So yeah, Craig, to speak to what you're saying there, and maybe I'm going even ahead of the review in a weird way, but this movie is a frustrating movie. Hot take, I know. It's a frustrating movie, not because of what it is or how good it is, but in a weird way because of how good it is. Like, do you think Stallone okay, how do I word this question? Like, this movie does remind us of his acting prowess. This movie came out 21 years after Rocky. Is that right?
97.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
Okay, and then this movie was 21 years ago today, like now. Isn't that weird? So enough time has passed between Rocky 1 and Copland and now. That's depressing. This is where I'm depressed, because just like what you're saying, we've had 21 years between Copland and 2018. Where is our other Copland besides Creed? Where is it?
Well, this was supposed to be his artistic breakthrough, right? This was going to be Stallone getting out of that action, out of the limelight that he unfortunately forged for himself. Right? This was going to be his rebirth. And I don't know why, but the reviews on this and Stallone's performance were just destroyed for some reason. Why? I thought he was great in this.
I think it was his reputation, I think, was what was being reviewed, as opposed to his true ability as an actor. And, you know, one thing that the internet has sort of brought about is, you know, more, I don't want to say geek reviewers, but geek reviewers. And I got to say that I bet you around this time, like a Roger Ebert probably dug this movie and probably wrote a fair review. But you've got a lot of reviewers that are just too cool for the room, and a lot of times it's just easier to dismiss somebody than to give them credit for a performance. You know, it's funny that, you know, the same year this came out, Boogie Nights came out in '97, right? And you had Marky effing Mark turn in a great performance, you know, that for whatever reason people were able to accept, and it amazes me that critics were able to look past Marky Mark from the Funky Bunch, but couldn't tune in with what Stallone was doing.
So yeah, I actually read Roger Ebert's review. He gave it 2 out of 4 stars.
Wow, that's surprising.
Terrible.
Yeah,
it's unfair.
Okay, well, we're to get into this, but that's my hot take at the beginning, is just watching this movie and doing the timeline in my head between Rocky 1, Copland, and now Creed 2. We don't have another Copland, and that's frustrating. So we know that Stallone has this in his tool, or in his wheelhouse, in his tool belt, whatever metaphor you want to use. Yeah. And maybe I'm getting a little bit ahead still, and maybe this is the time to talk about it. Why doesn't he do this more? He's worth $500 million according to networth.com, whatever. So give or take, he's worth anywhere between $400 and $500 million. Why isn't he doing the passion projects that he talks about, the Edgar Allan Poe movies, or just whatever? I know he's just built a Balboa Studios. I don't know quite all about that. Maybe that's what he's doing now. Maybe he's finally realizing at 72 he's probably should start doing some of these passion projects. But 21 years, man, like, doesn't he have $1 million or $2 to throw down? So, you know what, I'm going to do an independent film. I'm going to fund it myself. I want to be hungry again, work with some hungry directors, hungry editors, and let's just do something. I don't know.
Well, before I answer that, I will say that we didn't get another Copland, but we did get an Ants and a Spy Kids 3D Game Over.
But I guess we're going to review those at some point.
I kind of feel like in 2005, Balboa came out in 2005, right?
No, 2008 or 2006.
2006. Yeah. Okay. So I kind of feel like Sly had another opportunity to do this in 2006 and then 2008 when Rambo came out. And he just never seems to follow through on his opportunities. Look at what he did after Creed. And we all talked about what, how this, the Oscar nomination sort of re-energized his career and legitimized him as an actor again, and all the opportunities he had in front of him. And then he went and did what? Escape Plan 2.
It was like he went back to what he was known for, what he was, I don't even want to say what he was best at, because he killed it in Copland.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I think the something went down with the Weinsteins and Miramax, because
what is that story? What is that story?
Unless my memory's faulty, he had a multi-film deal with them, and then after Copland performed the way it did, they kind of just, I don't know if they didn't follow through on the deal with Sly, or they cut him loose or what, but they had made a commitment to him, and then this movie performed the way it did, and shortly thereafter, Sly was straight to video.
Mm-hmm.
So I know there's got to be more to the story here. And like I said, with what's come out about Harvey Weinstein, since this movie, and also if you look at how the guy sort of, did business, it doesn't surprise me that he might have, partially sabotaged Sly's career.
I'm wondering. I've heard some rumors or some thoughts on that Weinstein might have blacklisted Stallone to some degree, but you know what? Maybe we'll save that for another discussion, because I don't know enough to talk to that. But let's talk about the movie. So maybe people want to hear our thoughts on the actual movie itself, Copland. I guess that was just my thought on how frustrating this is, because when I watched this like 24 hours ago, 48 hours ago, it just reminded me of how much Stallone has in his tank. And I felt, as a fan for 21 years later, I'm like, oh, why didn't we get a Scarpa? Why didn't we get some mafia movies? Why didn't we get him playing a bad guy? Why didn't we get him doing... Why? Anyway, so we'll never know, but let's review Rocky. Okay. So let's review Copland. We should tell our listeners, Doug, what do you do for profession, and where do you live?
I'm a police officer from New Jersey.
That's awesome. Did any of this ring true? Now, off the right away. Does any of this ring true? Any of this?
No. Locations, yes. Some of the stuff I'm sort of familiar with, but
racism?
Most of it. Just joking. It's almost all fictional and would never happen.
Hey, Doug. How many years too old is Harvey Keitel to do what he's doing in that movie? He's like a uniformed cop in that movie, right?
Yeah. He's definitely too old to be a uniformed cop. I mean,
that's we're jumping to the end of the movie here, but or towards the the last third of the movie. But when he shows up at that building with the rooftop fight, and you see him in like the standard movie cop uniform, you're like, really? It's like, isn't this guy like about to collect a retirement check?
Yeah, he should be either detective, if not a detective, and he's still on patrol. He should be a lieutenant or a captain at his advanced stage. Definitely not on the beat.
What rank was he? Did you catch it?
I did not.
That's okay.
No, I didn't. I didn't.
Let's talk about. Do you want to break down scenes, or do you want to go in order of the movie, or do you just want to talk about things like we just did there, like talk about certain scenes that stuck out to you? The cast itself is huge. Let's talk about that.
I think the main thing is it's funny how it kind of starts like a Scorsese movie, and it ends like a Scorsese movie. And what's your take on the sort of bookended Robert De Niro voiceover? Because a lot of times in movie,
narration.
that's a tool that's used throughout the movie, and here it's really used at the beginning and the end. And I'm curious to see what you guys think. But last night I was trying to justify it from a writing standpoint, and I thought maybe that was something from one of his files, Robert De Niro's files, that was sort of being read to us.
That's a great question, actually, Craig. And I thought about that too. I seen it again for the first time in a while. I was like, oh yeah, De Niro opens the discussion and he closes. It's like and maybe it's just maybe to give De Niro more screen time. He doesn't have a lot of screen time. He's kind of like almost like Jack Nicholson amount of time from A Few Good Men. He's a big name, but he's not the name in the movie. Let's talk about De Niro then. While we're talking, let's talk.
I don't want to get past the bookended.
Okay, sure.
Narration.
I don't know why then.
No, I actually think it's if you think about it, the ending narration really probably cuts about 20 minutes out of what have been an extended ending of this movie, and the opening kind of sets up Copland, if you will. And I guess as I'm not sure if there's any other exposition you can do to sort of establish what he establishes in that opening voiceover, but I guess it's important to know what that town is.
I would like to go over it really quickly and poke some holes in it, if I may.
Please do. Yeah,
that's what we're here for.
So what Robert De Niro's voiceover is essentially saying that back in the 70s, the New York Police Department officers wanted out of the city, but only transit cops could live outside of New York because they're also run by New Jersey and Connecticut, which is partly true. They don't call it transit cops. Here we have a New York and New Jersey Port Authority Police Department, which they do the bridges and tunnels. They run both New York and New Jersey, the train stations, and yes, they work both sides of the border, and they can live inside or outside New Jersey or New York. They're not called transit cops, and I don't think Connecticut is included in that. But what they say is that these New York, the New York Police Department, which is just their pubs in the subway, so the city could declare them auxiliary transit cops, which I don't believe exists. And even if they were declared like a part-time transit or Port Authority police, you can't be a part-time Port Authority police officer, but if you were, you're still bound to within the limits of New York. If you work as a New York City police officer, you have to live within the confines of New York City or one of the surrounding counties.
Oh wow. Well, we just put our listeners to sleep on that.
Yeah.
I lost track. You know your job, Doug. You know your job. That's good.
In fairness, in 1997, how many New York teams played sports in New Jersey?
Oh yeah, yes. Everybody claims to be the New York Jets, New York Giants, but they in fact play in New Jersey. Yes, right across the river. It's a hop, skip, and a jump. Like it truly is.
Well, there's also no Garrison, New Jersey. That is a fictional town.
That's right.
Correct.
That's right.
Although, did they film this in was it Weehawken, or I was trying to figure out geographically where that was, Doug.
It was filmed in Fort Lee and Edgewater.
Oh, okay, so I wasn't too far off.
The like directly under the bridge, under the GWB scenes are Fort Lee.
Okay.
That's right where the George Washington Bridge lets on.
It wasn't the garment factory of the garment capital of the world?
Fort Lee?
Yeah. Isn't there that sign when you drive through Fort Lee to go into Manhattan?
The only thing I know about Fort Lee is Chris Christie and Bridgegate.
Oh yeah.
Which is
the bridge?
It's that part of New Jersey, yes. The bridge, it wasn't, I don't think it was the George Washington Bridge, but it was close enough. Edgewater is is like where like the parts of town that's right on the river. That's Edgewater, New Jersey. And that's like both of these shots in New York City are of the Bronx. It's not even Manhattan. And we're led to believe that these guys work in Manhattan, right?
Yeah, okay. So let's start the movie off. Let's
start it off.
Robert De Niro has said, "Hey, a bunch of cops have put together a housing cooperation outside of where they are cops. The mortgage is better, the rent is better, and we basically it's like a cop strata. And that cop strata community is then policed by Sheriff Heflin, and that's played by Sylvester Stallone.
Also, if I may, sheriffs do not patrol municipalities in New Jersey. Sheriffs are county police officers. They run the courts and county agencies.
Oh my goodness!
Poking holes.
Well, did you guys notice the first shot of Sylvester Stallone? They had a pan down to show his gut. You know, he's going for quarters in his hands, And of course, the camera slowly pans down to show his huge 40-pound gut.
That was the funniest thing about watching this movie after so long. It was like, you remember that Stallone put on weight for this movie, and when they panned out, I'm like, I don't know, that doesn't. I'd love to have that.
I know. Today, like, and that's what I was thinking too. And like, I could, I don't quite have that. I don't have that gut, but if you put a shirt on me, why couldn't they just put a pillow? Like, here's what I don't understand is like Sly, like his face, like, look, I love Sly, but his face got bigger in Rambo than this movie.
Yeah. Is it me, or did he look like Frank Stallone in this movie?
Maybe it was Frank Stallone.
Dude, I was going to say, he looks older in this movie than he does today in real life.
He looks a lot like Frank Stallone has looked in the past 10 years.
Well, yeah, he's 50, so he's 51 in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
And so get this. So he's 51 in real life, and I'm not too sure what age he's supposed to be in the movie, because they talk about he's been a sheriff for 10 years, and he wasn't able to become a New York City police officer because of his hearing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I don't know. Did he try for 25 years? I don't.
The math doesn't add up. He's definitely in his 40s, like when he gets the job, which is far.
Well, that's the thing I was going to mention, Doug, is you can't trust anybody's age in this movie, right? Because obviously Harvey Keitel wasn't playing his real age, and they never really establish how old anybody is. So yeah, he could have been playing 10 years younger, Stallone.
I don't know. That's a rough. That's a rough go.
Yeah, he looked 51. He looked 51. Let's be honest. He looked a good 48, 49, 51. Like he's not pulling off 41 here.
Mm-hmm. You know what I loved about this opening scene is you get right to it with Stallone, and you start seeing him doing, that nonverbal acting that my SlyCast co-host Jeff Hewlett loves so much. But you also see the cop that he can be, where he's watching Figgis and the lady from The Sopranos having their conversation. Yeah, Edie Falco, meant no disrespect. But he's observing them, and you see the bag exchange, and you can tell that Freddie's sort of processing it as a cop, even though he knows ultimately there's really nothing he can do with what's going on in front of him.
Yeah, it's just establishing that though he seems to be a little bit out of shape, a little bit dopey, he's got that bad hearing, and as a first-time viewer, you don't know why. He goes, huh? What? What did you say? We're not too sure. Is he, like, dumb? But we just realized that he's not. Okay, maybe this is too early, but I found the first hour of this movie was Rocky 1. It was the first hour of Rocky 1. I mean, like, think of Rocky 1 for a second here. He goes around trying to help people out. Nobody wants his help. Nobody takes him seriously. Busts up his nose. He's got a broken nose. He's like, like everything about this. Like, I feel like this is like if Rocky never became a boxer, he would have become Sheriff Heflin. It was like it was 1,000,000 to 1 shot to become a New York City police officer. Yeah. Oh, anyways, I couldn't believe the Rocky similarities. Having covered Rocky for so long and watching this movie again after covering Rocky for so long on my other podcasts, I was like, my goodness, it's fine, but he's channeling that acting, I guess. So it just remind me of that subtle acting that he brought to Rocky 1.
Yeah, let me expose my poor research that I do for these episodes.
Yeah, we've noticed.
This was written and directed by James Mangold.
Yes,
who a lot of people probably know from his work and like Logan. He made the Wolverine movie. He's kind of like a big budget guy now, but this was sort of his early, maybe his first film. I don't even know. There's the poor research. But I almost wonder if he wrote this with Stallone in mind.
I don't think so, because I think Stallone wanted the Robert De Niro part at first.
Mm-hmm. It was, hang on. Ray Liotta wanted the role of Freddie Heflin, and Sylvester wanted the role of Gary Figgis.
Of Ray Liotta's character. That's what it was. Yes. Okay. So can you imagine if Stallone played Ray Figgis?
I can't imagine anybody but Ray Liotta playing Ray Figgis.
Oh my God, he plays that part so perfectly.
It's weird. It took me a long time to get on board with Ray Liotta, and I never liked the guy for some reason. And I mean, even though I loved Goodfellas, and but there was always something about him. I don't know if it's his eyes or what, but it wasn't until I saw the movie Narc that I really sort of understood and accepted Ray Liotta. So watching Copland back with an appreciation of what Ray Liotta or who Ray Liotta is, he damn near steals this movie. He almost, he James Woods this movie.
I was just gonna say, Ray Liotta is the James Woods of this film, and in fact, that brings me to the next point. Stallone does a great job in this film. It reminds us again of what he has in his wheelhouse, what he has in his tank to give as an actor. Give him the right role, take out all the flash and everything else. He can bring a good performance. Robert De Niro has done some crappy movies in his life. All these actors have, and Stallone has too. But for whatever reason, Robert De Niro and Ray Liotta have gone back to those kind of movies more frequently than Stallone has. So that being said, though, again, another one of the first time I saw this film in '97. The first thought I had is my goodness, this is a great movie, but it's great because everybody's great. And in a weird way, Stallone is great, but it's almost like, but so was De Niro, so was Liotta, so was Robert Patrick, so is Annabelle Scoria. All these actors, and Peter Berg, they're all good. Everyone is coming to this movie really wanting to act. So
even Janine Garofalo.
Yes.
And the best friend from The Truman Show.
Yes.
Oh, Noah Emmerich.
Yeah. Probably the most unfortunate actor in Hollywood. He always shows up. He's like, "Hey, remember me? I work in Hollywood too." I watched this movie with my 20-year-old son, and he said, "Oh, isn't that the guy from Back to the Future?" He thought it was Biff.
Oh my God.
You know what? I got to say, there really is no, I mean, in The Specialist, we saw lots of, worst of the movie performances, but there's not even a questionable performance in this movie. They're all good to great. Right. I mean, there's not even a bit player in this movie that you look at sideways.
No, it's a well-acted movie. So we talked about De Niro. We're gonna get to some of his scenes later. We'll start at the beginning. We've already been introduced to like Edie Falco is a little bit of a role. She's the bomb girl. Ray Liotta looking absolutely horrendous. This whole movie, he just looks like I think he heard that Stallone was putting on 40 pounds. So he's like,
so he stayed up for 40 days.
He's like, I think he was doing drugs the whole movie. I'm not sure. He looked like he was on drugs the whole movie.
I got vibes of that, like that last day of freedom he has in Goodfellas. That he definitely tapped into that for the entire movie.
He definitely has that. Yeah.
Imagine if Stallone got Ray Liotta's part. Remember in that scene when Ray Liotta's character goes to Harvey Keitel's character and says, "Don't shut me out, Ray."
Yeah.
If that was imagine if that was Stallone. Yo, don't shut me out, Ray.
Don't shut me out.
It would have been like Ray Liotta, the way he talks, the way he's able to do those things. It's amazing. Okay, so let's go back to the beginning again. We see this exchange happen between Edie Falco and Ray Liotta's character at the table. Some money, I guess money is transferred over. And we find out later that money was used to no, what
money.
It was the actual. It was the whatever blew up his house.
That's
chemicals or whatever. It was bomb making material.
That's right. She's bomb girl. She's giving it to Ray.
Girl. Yeah.
So of course Heflin notices that, and he's
what pinball machine is he playing? Did either one of you catch that?
Lethal Weapon.
Yes, Lethal Weapon.
Part 3. Lethal Weapon 3.
Yeah, Lethal Weapon 3. You're right.
Yeah. So Ray's playing Lethal Weapon 3, and he goes out to get more quarters from the parking meter. He's stumbling drunk, and Ray's like, "You okay to drive home there, Freddie?" And oh yeah, I'm good. And so again, I'll ask this question to you, and you don't have to rat your guys out there, Doug. But how many drunk driving cops do you have in New Jersey?
All of them. No.
I know.
Ryan, I thought you were going to ask us if we were pinball people or video game people.
Yeah. That's right.
Well, go ahead. Yeah, I was going to ask that, but
I am a pinball people.
I'm definitely pinball people.
Me too. I think if it came down to having a games room, if I had that kind of money where I could build a room with arcade games, the pinball machine, there's something really cool about the pinball machine. I love the sounds and everything about it. Absolutely. We're a bunch of pinball guys. That's great.
So what Figgis does here is he puts Freddy in the driver's seat of a patrol car.
Yeah.
Drunk and says, have a good night.
In all fairness to Figgis, Freddy did say he was okay to drive.
Oh yeah. We always believe that guy.
Yeah.
You live in Las Vegas, Craig. You should know better.
Well, how perceptive do you think Figgis was?
But that's, you're the sheriff, in a town where there are no sheriffs because they're only county officers. But you're the head cheese in a town where, it's just all cops. It's all cops. So who are you going to worry about?
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying it's right, but I understand. If I could borrow something for Chris Rock.
How many black people were in this cop land?
Jesus Christ. Why does it always go back there for you?
I'm just curious. I watched this movie and I noticed, and this movie, there's a deleted scene you can find on YouTube. Did you watch it?
No, I didn't.
Okay, there's a reason why there's no black people in this Copland. There's a deleted scene that had this made the movie. I'm glad it didn't, because they're all playing baseball. Okay, the cops are all playing baseball, and a car drives by playing loud, as Paulie would say, jungle junk music.
Oh my god!
Yeah, so they all throw down their bats, get into their cars, and chase after this car for playing loud music. And it's rap music. They corner these guys in some cul-de-sac, get them out of their cars, and Robert Patrick's character plants drugs into one of the black guy's pockets.
Oh my god! How am I not surprised?
And Sheriff Heflin's there, and he's like, "Oh, come on, guys, maybe we should." They just push him out of the way. He's like, "Get out of here, we got this." And all the cops just start harassing these black guys, and that's like the end of the deleted scene.
Yeah,
it's like
there was actually when this movie came out. You guys remember the age where you could get bootleg VHS tapes. We had a connection. I don't remember where it is, and I'm glad because I can't incriminate anyone, but we had a great bootleg network where we were getting work prints and rough cuts of movies, and I had for the longest time, and it probably didn't make the move to Vegas with me. I had a VHS copy of an early, pre-theatrical release print of Copland that had a lot of deleted scenes in it. And I don't remember if it's the same as what has since been released, as I believe there's a director's cut.
There is, yeah.
Yeah.
It must be.
Yeah.
The version I watched was 2 hours long.
Wow. Okay. So the one I watched was about 1 hour and 45 minutes.
Oh, wow. And yours didn't even have the that great scene with the cops asking the black guys to join them for baseball?
No. No.
But it sounds like you might have watched the director's cut, Doug.
I must have, because there was, I can't pinpoint it right now, but there was a couple of scenes that I was thinking that I don't remember when I originally saw it.
All right, so you want to go back and watch the theatrical cut? We'll wait for you.
Yeah. So let's everyone. We'll just take a 2 hour. We'll just take a 2 hour break. We'll just stand by.
Hour and 45 minutes.
Okay. Okay, so we got a couple things in the chat here. We just got Jonathan Howell. He's mad at us for saying that Ray Liotta was like James Woods. He's still mad about the James Woods from our previous episode.
It's a thing now. James Woods is going to work his way into every episode.
Matt B there, one of our faithful listeners, Bebo, he said the De Niro was sporting the Ron Jeremy mustache.
He definitely has a 70s thing going on with the hairdo and everything.
And that he's so sweaty. Jonathan goes on to say he's sweaty. Yeah.
He's like half a Tony Clifton.
Yeah, there you go.
He also points out that there's a lot of Raging Bull in here in Copland with De Niro, Frank Vincent, and Kathy Moriarty.
Same actors.
Actors, yeah, that was both of Raging Bull and this, but there's also a lot of Sopranos crossover too.
There was Sopranos guy, like the picture that Robert De Niro shows Heflin says, "Hey, you know, he's mixing up with mafia guys." It's like they didn't have any acting parts. Yeah, they were like guys from the Sopranos, and there was a background cop that was from the Sopranos too. Who played the priest, I think, in the Sopranos. It's weird, yeah. So I guess New Jersey really did cast a lot of people from that area because this was filmed in Jersey. So I guess some of these actors that are from the area were like locals.
Let me, if I can. This is a perfect spot for this. A lot of the main cast came from New Jersey and New York.
Makes sense.
Sylvester Stallone, New York. Harvey Keitel, Brooklyn. Ray Liotta, Newark, New Jersey. Robert De Niro, New York. Peter Berg, New York. Janine Garofalo, Newton, New Jersey. Michael Rappaport, New York City. Noah Emmerich, New York City. Kathy Moriarty, the Bronx. John Spencer, who's I think he plays Leo, the detective Leo, New York City. Frank Vincent, who's the PBA representative. Jersey City, New Jersey. Malik
also
Yoba,
Billy Batts in Goodfellas.
Billy Batts, yep. Malik Yoba, who's the IA detective Carson, was born in New York City. Arthur Nascarella, who's Frankie, one of the cops, Suffolk, New York, who is also a real NYPD officer. Edie Falco is from New York City. Victor Williams, who he was one of the cops that was interviewed. He's also in The King of Queens, Bronx, New York.
Yeah,
and
that's right.
Tony Sirico, who plays Toy Torillo in a picture from Brooklyn. So there you go.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's they shop locally. That's the way to do it.
Yeah.
So definitely. Michael Rappaport, that's an interesting person in real life, and one of the big parts of this movie. Thoughts on him as an actor?
I mean, he plays the same character in every movie he plays, but I love Michael Rappaport.
Yeah, when you want that type, he's the guy to go to. But he's pretty much the guy from True Romance that I think we all probably saw him for the first time in that movie.
Yeah, he's also the guy from Higher Learning, the neo-Nazi. He plays the same part. The whiny, woe is me guy that just, came into the wrong crowd.
So he's actually a huge Stallone fan in real life.
Is he?
Yeah, yeah. He did a Twitter rant, and I'll see if I can find it for the audio edit of this episode. He does a Twitter rant about when Stallone lost Best Supporting Actor for Creed. He went on Twitter. I think he did a live reaction to the loss, and he was just literally upset. This episode may have an explicit on our podcast episode because he was rightfully so. He was upset about Stallone's loss, and he went on quite a tirade about that. But I think he's a Stallone fan in real life.
No kidding.
Yeah,
I mean, who's not?
Well, I think Michael is probably watching this show. So, hey, Michael, we really appreciate your support, and you did a great job there.
Yeah, and getting back to the sort of writing of this movie and how, how well put together it is, and I kind of criticized the book ending narration that is kind of a storytelling shortcut, if you will. But I think the story they tell with Murray here, Michael Rappaport, Superboy. I mean, you don't specifically get his backstory, but you hear enough to realize sort of where he's coming from and what his name means. And I think it's a really good, example of that, show don't tell mentality when it comes to movie making.
Okay, that's good. Doug?
Can't expand on that. Well said.
We just got some comments here that Matt B said here that we just talked about that, where he said to watch Rappaport respond to or react to Sly losing the Oscar, and he Manbat, that's Armando, thank you. He said that Rappaport will always be the Nazi from Higher Learning for him. So there you go.
As I said, yeah.
One of the favorite scenes, I forget where it happened. in the movie was when De Niro was talking about De Niro, was when he keeps saying the way he delivered his lines, his cadence in this film was really good. And we all know the one coming up. We'll get to it later, but when he tells everyone to shut up, you shut up.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say when he told everybody to go to lunch.
Oh, yeah.
Go to lunch.
Go to lunch.
I could have watched a 5-minute version of that scene. Him just ripping stuff off the walls, knocking stuff off desks, telling people to go to lunch.
Oh, it's an A+ rant. I love it. Go to lunch.
But that is really like sort of a perfect example of what Robert De Niro does as an actor. Like if you were putting together a demo reel of what he does, that would definitely be one of the scenes.
Yeah, this is a De Niro was great in this, and that's what I was saying before. It's almost frustrating how good he was because he steals every scene he's in, and I think he steals more than Stallone. Now, this is a Stallone movie, and he is again showing us audience, and that's the big talking point. The reason why we're talking about this film is that Stallone's doing something he hasn't done since almost Rocky 1. He showcased a little bit of it in the Rocky films, sure. Even his quiet presence in First Blood was shown. But what movie between Rocky and Copland did he have a Copland performance?
Rhinestone.
Yes.
God help us.
Did Craig just reveal our next review of Rocky review movie? Shut up.
I would say that this is like the showcase Sylvester Stallone movie. Like this is his range right here. Like if you watch Rocky, but you've never seen, The Specialist, Over the Top, Judge Dredd, Demolition Man, and you watch this, you're like, yes, that's Sylvester Stallone. But he was muddied by all that like mid-'80s action shit that kind of ruined him. Not that it ruined him, because I love it for what it is.
Right.
But the critics, man, they pigeonholed him, and that's all he was worth to them. So when he tries to go back and do something that's worth anything, they're like, oh, well, here's Stallone, here's the big action star trying to do something artsy, and they kill him for it.
Yeah.
Okay, well, here's okay. How do I say this? So I'm a big fan. I'm going to mention Metallica, right? Metallica's a band that everyone knows and kind of can relate to. Whether you like them or not, you know what they sound like, you know who they are. Now, if Metallica did a banjo album, to showcase that they can pick on the banjo just as well as they can strum on a guitar, which they probably can, their fans are going to be like, what are you doing? We want another Metallica album. And so, for better or for worse, Stallone, and maybe that's why. Oh, the dog! Don't you bark at me? And my wife barks at me already. But
they're banjo fans.
Yeah, but you get what I'm saying. Like, so artistry, no matter what it is, whether you're acting, music playing, painting, a novel writer, you have your wheelhouse, and your fans were drawn to that wheelhouse. And you might get the odd fan and be like, here, even when a singer does a solo album, right? The solo album, he might be expressing, or she might be expressing something different than the band to get that out of their system. But they kind of go back to what they know. And let's be honest, what audience love and what they love about Stallone, and we all do, we all go back to it, is the action and the fun. But I guess in 21 years, he could have probably spared some sort of independent project, I wonder.
Yeah. And well, the other thing is, like, I've believed more and more in the sort of idea that as soon as you're a success, you're sort of ruined as an artist, because, success is a double-edged sword, right? It gives you the exposure and the fame and the fortune as an actor or as a musician or wherever you excel in an art. But at the same time, it sort of creates a box for you. It would be like if Pauly Shore put out a book of poetry. It could be the best book of poetry ever, but it's not going to get looked at seriously because he's Pauly fucking Shore.
Right. We're trying to find the joke in his poems.
Yeah. That wouldn't matter. That's
I mean, success really is the worst thing that can probably happen to an artist, but it's kind of necessary to continue being an artist. It's the ultimate catch-22, I guess.
Absolutely. Yeah, well, I wouldn't know success if it hit me in the face with these podcasts.
I was just going to say we don't have to worry about it on this show.
We'll never have to worry about changing our tune.
Yeah, I will say one thing though, that we all sort of already expressed what a great De Niro performance this is, but the fact that there are two quality scenes between De Niro and Stallone in this movie, and at no point do you feel like Stallone is deficient.
No.
I mean, it's really good actors elevate you. And at the same time, to be able to act with Robert De Niro, from what I understand, Robert De Niro really respects other people's time, even into the, where he's done off-camera stuff that they normally say, oh, the stand-in will say your lines, just so we can get the reverse shot. So, I kind of feel like those scenes with Stallone and De Niro really showcase the best of both of those guys, and really what De Niro can bring to a scene, and also what he can bring out of an actor, and then also what Stallone brought to that scene. I think those are really worthwhile scenes, and they're scenes you can watch repeatedly.
But you've seen De Niro play that guy before, but you've never seen Stallone play the guy he's playing.
Yeah.
So I agree that they are great scenes, like with him, with De Niro and Stallone. But you're kind of paying more attention to Stallone, even though he's more soft spoken and he's go to lunch.
Sorry, I love that. Yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to step on your.
Yeah.
No, I was.
But it's kind of hard not to focus on Stallone in the scenes, like you said. It's kind of a cool counterbalance because he's so quiet and reserved. But great. At the same time, that movie kind of put a spotlight on him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we got some comments here in the group we can bounce off here. Matt said that Stallone gained the weight for Copland. He wondered if he asked De Niro how De Niro gained weight for Raging Bull, and maybe that was a topic they talked about between takes. Quite possibly. Stallone's always been pretty good about his body mass and changing things and gaining and losing weight. I suspect he probably had fun gaining it, but from what I've read in some interviews, he was pretty
depressed.
Yeah, he didn't like it, and he was pretty anxious to burn it off.
In fact, he burned it off before they even did any reshoots.
Wasn't there a problem with that or something to do with the reshoots?
There's definitely a scene at the end of the movie where I saw him walking, and he was in sort of a shot from his waist up, and I said, he looks a lot trimmer here. And I didn't even think about reshoots, Doug, but there are definitely a couple scenes here where he doesn't look like he's carrying that extra weight.
Yeah, and I think Weinstein was upset about it.
Who was?
I think Weinstein was upset about the reshoot.
I don't.
Is that Harvey.
A Weinstein joke?
No, I'm serious. I'm not making a joke. I know the guy. Yeah,
you can't see Weinstein and not have like a punchline. I don't know.
We'll think of something. We haven't talked about Annabelle Scoria yet. So the one female we haven't really touched on the film.
We haven't talked about the movie really.
Well, and that's why we actually. So for the people that are listening to the show, bless your hearts. We're just doing this as we go. I kind of like the idea. We're just talking about the film. Like if we just got out of watching the film, how would we talk about it if we sat around with a couple of beers in our hand? And that's kind of how I see this. But we can break down certain scenes if you want, or go in order. I don't want to bore our listeners. I think the coffee talk roundtable is a good way of going too.
Yeah, I mean, the plot of the movie is that there's a bunch of NYPD cops that live in New Jersey, and these
you shut up.
So this village in New Jersey, this town in New Jersey that houses all these cops is run by Sheriff Freddie Heflin. But they're all crooked cops. What we come to find out is that the mob backed the mortgages on all these guys' houses, and in turn, this precinct in the New York PD is funneling drugs through the precinct into the city for the mob. So it's like a whole crooked cop scene. This one cop, Murray Babbage, He ends up shooting 2 guys on the George Washington Bridge.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
Great sequence.
That's brutal. Okay, 2 things. The guy. Okay, I probably would have filmed it a little bit better. I know the guy pulls out. Okay, well, actually, I got a question for you, Doug. You're a police officer, right?
I am.
So, if you're driving home in your civilian clothes and you're sober, so let's just say you're sober, and you saw, it doesn't matter the skin color. I'm not trying to be funny here. So if you saw 2 guys clip your car, they did clip your car.
Well, they didn't clip it. They side swiped.
What would you have done at that point, Doug? What are you allowed to do as an off-duty police officer, and what are you allowed to do? Do you just call it in? Just call your buddy and say, "Hey, I got this license plate on this guy. He hit my car, and let you guys take care of it." Is that what you do, or?
Murray Babich, aka Michael Rappaport, did nothing wrong in this scene except being drunk.
Right,
being drunk. That was the only thing. All the other pieces fit. Like he got sideswiped. He tried to get the car to stop.
Right.
He showed his badge. He identified himself as a police officer. The guy refused. Pointed something out of the window.
Yeah.
Going at high speed. You can argue you thought that was a firearm. He hears his tire blow out.
Yeah.
Which he thinks is a shot fired.
Yeah,
so
that's
yes,
fair.
Up to that point, he is completely justified.
Okay, now remind me of the scene though. The car comes to a stop. He's still going forward. He hits their car. He shoots before he hits the car. By the way, what a marksman.
Yeah, no, that's he shoots. He's leaning out the driver's side of the window with his right arm. So he's crossing his body, gun out the window. There's no way in hell you're hitting any type of target.
He hit them 6 times. How?
So we're gonna suspend disbelief on that.
Are there even 6 shots?
Yeah, he hit them 6 times. They had 6 bullet wounds, is my understanding.
Impossible.
So my question though, Doug, is he allowed to shoot that weapon while he's traveling and the car is stopped? Or I mean, still they're fleeing. Is he allowed to shoot a car fleeing?
We're told never to shoot from or at a moving vehicle.
So that's where he gets in trouble then. Wouldn't that be where he gets in trouble?
Where he gets in trouble is being drunk and shooting. No,
let's say he was sober. Unarmed. Let's say he was sober.
If he's sober, he's
the vehicle.
If he's sober, he's probably justified if he's sober.
Because he thought he was being shot at. That's the key takeaway, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not trying to bust your chops. I'm actually just trying to figure this out because I'm in the military and we have different rules of engagement. Of course, we're a peacekeeping nation, but we still have the inherent right of self-defense, and we have 3 things that we have to follow. You probably have proximity, capability, and intent. Those 3 things have to show in order to use deadly force. So, for example, if a guy is on the jetty and I'm on my ship and he's pointing a knife at me, so he's got capability. He has a knife. He can hurt me with a knife. He's got intent. He really wants to stab me with that knife, but he doesn't have proximity. He's 100 feet away, so I can't pull out my rifle and shoot him. So, so I think in this situation, now this is just me playing devil's advocate, and I'm not trying to start a cop thing here, but the car was moving away from the officer, and it was ahead of them. And he tried to pull them over, and now it's become a car chase. But instead of chasing the vehicle, he shoots the vehicle. And there's no threat of life at that point. So even as a viewer, it's like, oh, he's going to get in trouble just by shooting these guys because they're going to be able to reconstruct the car and the impact and when they were shot. And I don't know.
We have another variable is the potential that they can cause harm to other people as well.
Sure.
It's we have something called a reasonable officer standard. Like if you believe that your life or somebody else's life is in immediate danger of this perpetrator, then you are allowed to use deadly force.
Right. They were just showing their car jack thing because his tire blew out. It will help you. Pull over the side and we'll help fix your tire.
I didn't even think about that.
They're like, hey, your tire, hey, we have it. We have something to help you with. Oh man, no good deed goes unpunished.
No. But they tried to these crooked cops try to cover up because he's one of them. So these crooked cops try to cover up,
and it's really brazen. I mean that kind of shows the level of corruption, right, Doug?
Yeah, right off the bat, because
they're doing it in front of the EMTs who smell the bullshit.
they smelled it right away.
What I love is I'm got Robert Patrick's character. Hey, look at this! I found an Uzi from the 1940
under the mat.
Whoa, there it is.
I love it. Like here's the 1940 Uzi from some World War II movie put under his mat. I don't know why he didn't just like stuff it like right under the seat, have another cop come in and look at the car. But it's like he literally goes to the car, pulls it out of a paper bag, goes, "Here it is." Yeah. It was like, I know it's just a film, but you could think they could take an extra 10 seconds to have another cop go there and find it.
Well, that speaks to the corruption, I think, and the brazenness of it all.
Yeah, the EMTs already they knew what happened. They saw it, like the dried blood stuck that steering wheel lock to the guy's hands. Like that's what the guy had in his hands. So you're out of his dead hands, and you're gonna pretend like he had this Uzi. And where the EMTs, like his reaction is perfect. He's like, "What the fuck are you doing?" So he chucks the gun off the bridge.
So Superboy's pan. Now this is really good. I caught this watching this again. Superboy, Michael Rappaport's character, he was very he didn't like this at all. He told him, let's do this proper. He was actually convinced, like Doug was saying, like, I'm drunk, I know I'm drunk, I've had something to drink. And so he was on Doug's side of the story, meaning like he's like, look, they pointed a weapon at me, and I felt my life was in danger. I've got a case, so you guys don't have to get crooked on me all of a sudden. So he was even going for the angle of, don't go crooked on me. And when they pulled out the gun, he realized they've planted a weapon. This is escalating. And he's like, my badge, they're gonna take away my badge. That's when he went and goes to the bridge. Now he doesn't jump off the bridge. Where does he go?
It had to be coordinated with Keitel, right? With Ray?
Mm-hmm. With Ray, yeah, like right in the back of his car. Oh my God, he jumped! He jumped!
Yeah. Okay. Can we talk about that? Because it's like either Harvey Keitel is a bad actor acting as a bad actor, or a good actor acting bad, because he's saying, "Oh my, he jumped! Where did he go? He befell. He was here and now he's gone." It's like
I like Doug's better. Yours kind of sounds like Trump.
Well, Doug does everything better. He's handsome. He's funny. He's articulate. I mean, he's a peace officer, but.
That is a good point, though, Ryan. It's like it could be, like you said, a good actor pretending to be a bad actor or a bad. I mean, it's great because you can't tell where the movie ends and where real life begins. And either way, it's a brilliant choice on Keitel's part, right?
I hope so, because it was bad acting. Because I don't understand. Like, was he trying to convince? Was he just doing it? I wonder if he was just doing it to say, "Here's the official byline. He's jumped."
Yeah, at that point, I don't think he needs to convince anybody. That's just like if anybody's taking notes, like, this is a statement, is he jumped. It doesn't matter how I say it. That's just what it is. He jumped.
And I was corrected on Annabelle's name, the actress, Annabelle Ciora. My apologies. That was Matt. That was Matt Beeble corrected me on that. Can I just say, for the record, every time I see her in a movie, I always think to myself, my goodness, she's gorgeous. And my goodness, I have to see more of her. Not naked, but I mean, just like more movies of her. And I always forget. And when I watch Copland, I'm like, oh yeah, I love this actress. She's so good. And she's so captivating on screen. She's easy on the eyes, and she's a great actress. Anyone else feel the same way about her?
Yeah, I don't. The only other thing I really remember her in is Hand That Rocks a Cradle.
Oh yeah.
I don't remember, like, she was kind of like the mousy wife in that. Like, I don't remember her being like a sexy.
Yeah, I don't mean sexy the way you would look at like, I don't know. I can't think of it. It's all objective, right? I'm not trying to objectify her. Gotta be careful. No, I'm saying. I mean, she's attractive, but I like her, and I like her screen presence, and just reminded me to go back and look at more of her library.
Yeah, is she? And this is a movie full of unlikable people, but was her character as unlikable to you as it was to me? Because you kind of see how frustrated Freddie is with where his life went when he intervened and saved hers. But at the same time,
talk about that for anyone that might remind the listeners of what the relationship is and how he lost his hearing.
The setup is basically that a young Stallone, and I love when they try and do Stallone as a teenager. We've seen it in a couple different movies, and this guy was a pretty good 17-year-old Stallone, I thought. But
he wasn't bad.
We get a flashback scene where we see a car come off a bridge while young Freddy's eating lunch. He dives in. He ends up in the car, and the car underwater has sort of shifted, so it limits his escape route. So then, in an effort to get through the window they need to get through to save him and this girl, he basically smashes the side of his head and his ear against the window in a really effective scene, because you almost hear the moment where he loses his hearing. But to tie back into it, it almost feels like she uses him a little bit, or she has used him for the remainder, leading up to the moments in this movie.
Yeah, good point. Before you get to that, I want to talk about the hearing loss scene. Every time I see this film, and there's two parts in this film. The beginning where we see how he loses his hearing because he's smashing his ear against the window. I get stressed out. I don't know. I feel the visceral. It's a good combination of editing, sound effects from the movie crew, like behind the scenes, and then the actor pounding his ear against that window. It stresses me out about the damage he's doing. Eardrum damage stresses me out. I don't know why. I don't know why, but
it should. I mean, and anytime you screw with somebody's ears or eyes in a movie, most people are going to be uneasy, because those are two senses that we all value a lot,
Doug, what about you? Are you stressed out about losing your hearing?
I'm just like the thought of like he's ramming the side of his head against the window, and I'm just picturing like the pressure of the water like rushing into his ear as he's jamming his head against the window like that. Like it's visceral, like you said. I can almost feel it. I got to take these earbuds out for a few minutes.
We won't talk about it just yet if we don't want to. But the end scene, of course, when the crooked cops shoot the gun next to his good ear, I get like, oh my goodness, and the blood's coming out of his ear. I'm just like,
yeah.
I watch like horror flicks. I watch like, like blood doesn't gross me out when it's almost like a fantasy way. This movie is so realistic in some ways. So when that ear's bleeding from the sound damage, and there's that ringing sound that you hear as a viewer. And I have my stereo out loud. It's this high pitched ringing. He sees the dog barking. Kinda. Yeah. And you're like, please pass this sequence because it's stressing me out, very effective.
All the gunshots like really muffled. It's like you're hearing it through a lot of layers of soundproof. It's not like you hear a gunshot like out in the open. It's like the report is shocking, but with Deaf Freddy, after they blew out his good ear, it's like really like low and muffled. So
Doug, do you guys do that to each other's cops? No, little pranks. No. Shoot. Hey, it's the new guy. Let's blow off our weapon next to his ear. Oh, you don't do that kind of shenanigans?
No.
What's your favorite cop bar hangout that you go to? Is it the Four Aces?
No, it's not the Four Aces. It's not. We don't have cop bar. See, we don't live. None of our cops live in town.
No? Where you guys live in Copland? Where do you live?
No, there's no Copland. Like everybody, like we work in town, but everybody lives outside. Like I live 40 minutes from work.
So which one of your friends is sleeping with your chief's wife?
Let's see.
I love that. I love how this. Can we talk about this movie for a second? Because
is that what we're here for?
Finally,
there's so many. There are so many storylines. This is like season 1 of some series in a 2-hour episode. There's like storylines and backstories and a dead cop that we never see alive. And there's like, this would have made a great 10-part series.
It would have. But at the same time, it kind of showcases, the great editing of this movie, and either editing from a writing standpoint or actual, editing after they were done filming. But you get just enough information to know what you need to know. There's no excess fat, if you will. You know, it's like, that, there's somebody's cheating on somebody else, like I said, the fact that you get just enough detail to fill in the blanks that you need to fill in to understand the story. And I think that's a really sort of undervalued tool in filmmaking nowadays.
Yeah, and this is actually, we talk about James Mangold. He was the writer, director of this movie. Kudos to him. He was quite young. I think he was probably late 20s at the very, at the very latest. So this is quite an ambitious project. I think it could have done with less, a little bit less, maybe a little bit less of the, buddy sleeping with buddy's wife type things. That I guess that's what I'm getting at. There's so many side stories going on that I after like seeing this the 5 or 6 times I've seen this, it took me a while to. When I watched this with my 20-year-old son, this is his first time seeing it, so he saw it about the age that I saw it for the first time, and he had a harder time following it too, because he didn't know any of these actors. He hasn't really seen any of these actors other than Stallone. He doesn't even know De Niro. He doesn't. So he's just getting into these movies now, and so for me, as knowing who everyone is, it was kind of easier for me to separate the faces. To him, they just look like a bunch of mustache cops. But to me, I actually knew Robert Patrick from Ray Liotta, from Peter Berg, so I knew all the differences. But so it's a busy movie, is what I'm saying. So a first time viewer, it's kind of a busy movie, especially if you don't know who these actors are.
I don't think anything's wasted. Like that. It's very short. It's very like kind of off, reference, but Peter Berg's character, Joey Randone, who's married to the girl who Freddie saved in the river.
Yeah.
So his character is sleeping with Ray Donlin's wife. Ray Donlin is Harvey Keitel's character.
Talk about a downgrade.
Yeah, no kidding.
Did you see Kathy Moriarty in Raging Bull though, man?
Oof. Okay,
far and away.
You guys aren't gonna believe this.
You've never seen Raging Bull.
That's true. It's okay. I know. Anyways, I was hoping that I wouldn't have to say it, but you said, do you remember her in that movie? I didn't want to lie. Oh yeah, she was fantastic. She was gorgeous, simply gorgeous. I didn't. It's on my DVR right now as we speak, because I intend on watching it and actually reviewing it for my show, because I think it'd be interesting to see this movie that everyone compares to Rocky. Like what is the better? It seems to be it's like the Saving Private Ryan versus Thin Red Line argument. Which one's the better film? So I already know Rocky's a better film, but I want to see what the arguments are, because I know, and I love Scorsese and I love De Niro, but it's just one of those movies. It came out when I was 5 years old. I just haven't seen it. Anyway, sorry, go on.
Yeah. I will, since we're confessing, I'm going to confess that I've actually never seen Higher Learning.
I don't think it's quite the same level as Raging Bull, but we'll allow it.
Well, it's a callback to like an hour ago.
Well, I felt, since we were all being honest at this point, that I would confess.
Well, what about you, Doug? What's a movie, Doug, that Higher Learning doesn't count? That's a terrible example. What's a movie that you think everyone thinks you've seen but you haven't seen?
Rocky. Never seen Rocky.
That would explain your poor podcast last year covering Rocky.
Caddyshack is one that every time I say I've never seen Caddyshack, everybody's like, what? I don't know why.
I still don't put them on the same level as a Raging. I know. I hear you. Anyways, what about you, Craig? What's one that you really haven't? Higher Learning doesn't count, because I think about 10 people might know what that is.
You know what? I don't want to sound like an elitist snob here.
Too late.
But you know what? I've never actually seen Evil Dead 2.
What are these examples? Oh my goodness. Evil Dead 2.
You snob.
Right. Yeah, well, it's great. It's basically Evil Dead Part 1 done again.
Right? That's what I've heard.
And it's true. All right. You're not missing much. Bruce Campbell, his hand attacks him. He has a fight with his hand.
There you go.
Yeah.
Beginning and the end.
Sounds like when I was 12 years old. Okay, so
I want to go back to the Joey Randone thing. So
yeah, of course, go wherever you want.
The plot of him sleeping with Ray's wife isn't wasted, because when Ray decides that they're gonna waste Murray because they have nothing else to do with him, because they have to produce a body.
Yeah.
So the politicians will get off their ass. So Joey Randone doesn't agree with that. I'm not going to help you. So what happens is he's working, he's in trouble. Ray Donlin turns his back, and Joey ends up dying. Right?
Yeah.
So the question is, does he let Joey die because he's not going to help them kill Murray, or because he's sleeping with his wife? Like, that's the question.
Yeah.
It seems like Harvey Keitel's character didn't seem that concerned about him making love to his wife.
I agree, Ryan. It seemed completely driven by the fact that he knew he wasn't on board, with taking out Murray.
All I know is
Doug.
All I know is that Harvey Keitel loves to watch people jump off bridges and buildings. Wherever
he fell.
He fell. He's down there somewhere. Look,
God, he fell.
Look at the blood. See, he's dead. He's right there. He's dead. He's right there.
Oh my God.
Go to lunch, everyone. He jumped. Go to lunch.
You're mixing your impressions.
I know.
Go to lunch. You got to separate them.
There's one scene in this movie that I thought was really, really good, and one that I don't think people talk about very often. But when Ray Liotta is talking to Heflin in the bar before he goes to Ray, he says, "Don't shut me out, Ray." Yeah, I guess he's referring to the fact that Ray Liotta helped cover up a previous like Ray Liotta's character has been around since the beginning, and I guess he didn't know about the Superboy shenanigans. He was unaware of this, which I found interesting. Did they explain why he was being shut out?
I think it had to do with the Glenn Tunney thing. Glenn Tunney was Figsy's former partner, and
Doug
like
paid attention.
They refer to this guy Tunney a lot.
Yeah,
but that was a murder. That was a murder that Ray was talking about.
Well,
sort of like Ray Liotta Figs was talking about, saying like, I helped you cover up this murder of this cop, and now you're shutting me out of the Superboy shenanigans and pushing me out of the community. I think. Am I wrong about that?
You're not wrong about it. I think like they weren't pushing him out. They weren't like letting him inside anymore, because of his relationship with this Tunney guy. This Tunney guy was arrested. They called him the chokehold cop. So he used a chokehold, obviously killed somebody, and he got indicted for that. And this Glenn Tunney, this guy that we never really see, was Gary Figgis' partner. And then Ray Donlin turned his back on Glenn Tunney, and Tunney was going to rat on Ray and like the whole like this whole connection with the mob. So what they did was Ray had Tunney killed while he was in jail awaiting trial.
Okay.
So Gary Figgis, he kind of started distancing himself because of that, because Tunney was his buddy, Tunney was his partner.
Okay. So before that's good. That's good explanation. I didn't. Thank you. I don't see. That's what I mean. This movie requires a little bit more viewing. There's so much storyline, and I'm just not as smart as Doug. See, Doug, it's his job to be observant of all the details because he has to pick up all the crime scene stuff, and so he's following this plot like it's. Well, this was based on a true story. I think it was one of your.
I really love this. I genuinely love this movie.
No, that's good. That's good. So there was a scene right before though when Figgis is talking to Heflin, Stallone's character, and he's saying, "Aren't you jealous? Aren't you jealous of these guys?" And it was a really and Sheriff Heflin's like, "I'm not jealous. I'm happy with who I am." You can see that he's not jealous, but he's sad. He's sad that his life is where it is. He sacrificed his hearing, which affected him being a police officer, which we figure he probably would have been a good one, an honorable one. And he actually calls he calls Stallone's character out. He goes, "You've lost your hearing. You lost the girl. You lost your dream job. You should be jealous." And it's an interesting, like Ray Liotta's character is not wrong. Maybe in life it's okay not to be jealous isn't the right word, but sometimes life sucks. Sometimes it does deal you a bad hand. And it's okay to say, you know what? I've been dealt a bad hand, and maybe that can help you heal, get over it. Because I think Heflin, he has that shuffle and that walk that he does throughout the movie, where it almost represents just like Eeyore type from Winnie the Pooh Eeyore. It's woe was me, and it's not till later in the movie that he snaps out of it, that he becomes the potential, like goes the distance with Creed.
I don't like that scene because it's like complete just exposition for the audience when he's like,
maybe that's why I liked it.
Thinks he lays everything out. Like, you saved her life. You go deaf as a result. You watch she marries this cocksucker and you can't get a desk on a force. There you go, everybody. That's the background on
hey,
Freddie.
I just told you I need that kind of exposition, man. Like I got lost in the shuffle. This is a repeat viewing movie for me. I need to watch it again because I appreciated that little synopsis. Oh, yeah, that's where we are in this film. Thank you.
But Doug's got a point. Those are conversations that only happen in the movies.
Of course. Like, sure.
Freddie knows what happened. He doesn't need Gary Figgis to tell him.
Don't shut me out, Doug.
Don't shut me out, Ray.
But I mean, not to circle back to how great Ray Liotta is in this movie, but I think you just hit on the point of what a great character Figgis is too. And the scene towards the end when he references Freddie taking them head on, and he explains to Freddie how you need to approach guys like this. What you've got to make right turns, and you've got to move diagonally. Yeah,
you don't go down Broadway to get to Broadway.
That's one of the great sort of speeches in this movie, and I think that is another aspect of the character that makes that performance work so well. At least is he's a guy that's very aware. He might not have always made the right taking the right steps in his life, but he knows how everything pieces together. He knows the steps you're supposed to take, even if he didn't take them himself.
You can tell, like, that guy's a good cop.
Yeah,
he's a good cop, but he lost his way somewhere.
Yeah. Good point. Yeah, he lost his way. He got his $200,000 for lighting his house on fire. Killed his girlfriend in the process.
It was only $198,000.
He rounded up.
We can round up.
Imagine if he told Sheriff Heflin, he's like, I've got $198,565 in my bank right now.
Maybe 198,000 is 200 in Canadian money. Maybe that's why.
Yeah,
Ryan thinks. There you go.
All right, so that was the. Then we have that domestic dispute with Peter Berg's character and Annabelle Scora, whatever her name is.
Jesus
Christ. So, Doug, talk to us about domestic disputes. What would you do in this situation right now? The husband's sitting on the step. The wife has locked the door, but then she opens the door and he busts it down. Do you go after him?
Well, the problem is he's showing signs of violence, meaning like as a victim. He's bleeding from the head, right? So at this point, you're thinking he might be the victim. Then he kicks the door in. You're like, all right, maybe she bashed him in self-defense, but then she goes at him with a bottle. So, I mean, in that case, you kind of got to take her in. And you have to offer him the opportunity to apply for an emergency restraining order against his wife.
This is the scene where Heflin offers her, "Hey, do you want to come to my house and sleep on my bed? I mean, come to my house." Well, he said to put her up at a hotel. I'm just joking.
There's, I mean, you mentioned before about like some unnecessary scenes, and I think the Liz Randone and Freddie stuff, like where they almost kiss and everything, like we can do without that.
We can do without her scenes?
Not her completely, but like when later on when she goes to Freddie's house and
let's talk about that scene.
Bruce Springsteen.
Well, and that's kind of what I was getting to before. With she comes out of this movie as a pretty unlikable character because it really feels like she uses Freddie when she needs him.
Mm-hmm.
And in that scene where she goes to the house, she needed a boost.
Yeah.
So she used Freddie to get that boost.
Was Joey even dead at that point? I don't think so, right?
No.
No, he wasn't.
If he had been, it would have been a terrible, terrible scene.
Yeah, that's true. True. Yeah.
Yeah, they did that weird like kiss. He kind of put his big head against her cheek or whatever.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. The way it's framed, you can't even tell.
Well, they kiss a little bit, and then she just goes, "This is crazy," and then she walks out. Like, all right. He's like, no.
And did he have the cleanest Springsteen vinyl known to man? There wasn't one pop or in that soundtrack, and she references he's playing an album.
I love how they played Springsteen though. It's pretty good. Imagine if they filmed this in Canada, they would have put it on Nickelback.
I thought you were going to say Neil Young.
Oh God, no.
Can you imagine? Can you imagine? They put on some Nickelback ballad during this scene because it's filmed in Ontario.
I wish I had the time and the talent to do a music replacement for those scenes here in Copland.
I just wish I had some sort of talent. We might get some watchers or listeners. I'm bringing you guys down. I apologize.
Are you kidding me?
All right. So I've got some comments here. We'll just speak to them real quick because these guys are chiming in. Thanks, guys. Hey, for everyone listening to our show right now, can you like this video on YouTube so we can this helps like get it out there. You know what I'm saying? So don't just talk to us. Make sure you like it.
Hey, wait, I just want to address Matt. That was Craig's dog biting Craig on the table, not me.
Oh, there you go. And he wants to know, are you outside, Doug? The listeners want to know, are you outside?
Yeah, I'm on my back deck. It's a beautiful night here in New Jersey.
Wow.
I'm enjoying nice fall weather.
Must be nice living in Copland. The streets are safe, you know, you don't have to worry about any black people
playing baseball.
Oh my gosh, you have to watch this. I am not being this movie is racist. There's no black people in Copland, and they filmed the scene to show you why. They didn't even want these people playing their music on their street. They got arrested for playing music. They didn't like it. Wasn't Bruce Springsteen. If they had gone down the street playing Bruce...
In New Jersey, you're fine. You play Bruce, you're good.
Oh my gosh. Have you ever been offered a bribe?
No, never.
Bruce Springsteen tickets? Nothing?
Nope.
Oh man.
I had an experience here where somebody thought I was soliciting a bribe.
What does that mean? Oh, you're asking for a bribe?
Yeah, well, it's funny. Like, I guess, you know, I work in an industry where you get a lot of people coming from out of town. I mean, Vegas is driven by travelers.
You're a pimp.
So I was explaining a fee to somebody, and the way I worded it, he kind of got like an old Las Vegas vibe where he thought like this was the payoff he had to give me in order for this thing to happen. And it was pretty funny when I realized that the way I worded it made the guy think I was soliciting a payoff. It was pretty funny.
That's beautiful.
All right.
We got Red Tyler here.
Red Tyler just pooped, apparently.
He wants us to shout out his girlfriend, Kim Dougal. Hey, Kim.
Is that a joke?
I'm rolling with it.
Hey, well, Red, thanks for... Red.
He pooped just now.
That's what I mean. He just told us that he just pooped. Yeah, he said, he goes, I pooped just now, LOL. Is he laughing at the funny poop? Or it's funny that he went poop? I'm not sure.
Well, he's getting more airtime than anybody else. So,
well, Red, welcome to the show. I'm glad that we make you regular. I hope you'll continue to be a regular listener. All right, let's talk about. We talked about the go to lunch scene already.
Go to lunch.
There's a pretty interesting scene here too, where Heflin says to Ray, Ray and. Sorry, I keep saying Ray Liotta. Figgis Figgis and Heflin, they're like living together now because his house burnt down, and Figgis is hanging out at Sheriff Heflin's house, and Sheriff Heflin says, you know, if I saw her today in the river again drowning, I wouldn't go get her. I'm not a hero anymore. It's basically what he's saying.
Bullshit.
I didn't take it to mean that, Ryan, and maybe it's because of my my sort of take on her as a character is, it felt to me like he's been used, and I think he sort of resented the fact that he was where he was, but that he was also not really a driver and more of somebody that was being sort of abused and held down. I really dig the fact that we have such different interpretations of that scene.
Yeah. I think he kind of meant it. I think he's just saying that he's a coward now. He's not who he isn't who he thought he was anymore. Like maybe he isn't. Maybe at that moment he feels like he's just not the hero that everyone thinks he should be.
I mean, that does sort of speak to what he ends up doing in the movie. So
right.
It adds some credence to that. What does Doug think?
Well, Red Tyler's girlfriend thinks Doug is good looking. That's what the big deal is here.
No, that's good.
He says he went to high school with one of you. He says he went to high school with one of us. It must be you.
Is Red Tyler a troll?
No, he says my girlfriend says she loves the Dougal. Was your nickname Dougal?
No.
And he's being all cryptic here. I think that's Dave Mustang on his his picture profile there.
He's about to do the thing.
So. He's about to do. So they're watching our episode, but they're about to make love to each other. I guess during their. That's fine. Hey, whatever we do to help you guys out, we're here for you guys. Anyways, oh, did you notice Method Man was in this movie? Did you guys catch that?
Yeah, he's the one that throws Peter Berg off the roof, right?
What a funny cast. This is a crazy cast. I mean, you got Method Man, you got the guy from King of Queens, the black actor from King of Queens. You've got Peter Berg, who's actually a very established director. I mean, he gives James Mangold a run for his money when it comes to movies nowadays. Lone Survivor was directed by Peter Berg.
He also did Battleship, which is a badass movie, and I'll fight anybody who says it isn't.
All right, I'll commit. I never.
That's Doug's big confession. He's never seen Battleship.
Yeah, Battlefield and Raging Bull. Yeah, Battleship was.
We keep referencing Robert De Niro, but I don't think we've ever explained what his role in this movie is.
Who's that?
To anybody who doesn't already know, Robert De Niro.
Well, he's the cop of cops, right? He's IAD.
He's the internal affairs investigator. He's, as the rest of the cops call him, a rat, because internal affairs cops, all they do is fuck other cops.
Okay, you're a cop, right, Doug? Have we established this yet throughout this episode?
I think so. I think it's been well established.
What is the official word on the street when it comes to IA? Because they play this in movies all the time, that IA, and then Harvey Keitel's character says, you know how they become IA? They were caught doing something bad, and then they're now IA. Is there any truth to IA, and do cops truly hate them? Go.
No, the only cops that have anything against IA are the cops that are doing something wrong in the first place.
So how do you feel about IA?
I don't care about IA because they don't investigate me because I toe the line. I do what I'm supposed to do.
There you go.
As do all the guys that I know. Like it's like the whole IA thing is just built up in movies. It's not real.
It's not real.
The hatred it's not real.
I appreciate you answering that because I think our listeners want to know that. They want to know the truth.
I don't think they do.
They do right now.
They don't want to know from me.
Of course they do. I think Red Tyler's drunk. We're gonna ignore him. We love you, brother, but I don't know what the heck you're talking about. He just says he does acid. He wants you to come arrest him.
I do acid cop. What do you think about that?
Red Tyler.
Oh, Doug's going. He's going. He's leaving. He's found his address. He's Googled this guy. He's off to get him. Oh wait, you got bugs on you.
I'm off duty. Yeah, you see that? A mosquito flying around.
Red Tyler.
Red. You know who he is? Do you know who he is?
No idea, but I love the guy.
He went to third grade with one of us, though.
He went to third period with one of us. I don't know. Anyways. Hey, Red Tyler, do you have anything you want us to plug? I just thought about 3 different jokes and I can't say them. Okay. All right, here we go. Where we go?
When so Stallone goes to, or Freddy goes to see, once he decides that, all right, this
this
shit
is the big
doesn't
scene.
smell right here in
big
Copland. But before the big scene, he goes back to New York to talk to Mo Tilden, who's Robert De Niro's character, right?
Who had given him a chance to be a cop.
Yeah, right. He Freddie already admitted that he was blind to what was going on. So he goes to New York to see Mo Tilden, and he's like, all right, I'm ready to do this. And and Robert De Niro / Mo Tilden ain't having it. He's like, well, case is closed. What do you want me to do? He's like, I want you to do the right thing.
My hands are tied. He was eating that sandwich.
My hands are tied.
Well, why doesn't the sandwich place ever give them napkins? Come on.
He goes,
what about box? Have you ever used Kleenex as a napkin? It does make for a terrible napkin.
It's the worst.
Freddie goes, what about Babbage? She goes, what about him? Fuck him. What about that one? Fuck him too.
All right, here we go. Ready?
I offered you a chance when we could have done something. I offered you a chance to be a cop, and you blew it. And you blew it. And you blew it. And you blew it.
I love it.
The great thing about that scene is you see the gears going in De Niro's head, realizing that this is an opportunity to get traction going for his case again. And he knows that he's going to be able to use Freddie like everybody else has used Freddie, which makes Freddie even more of a tragic character.
Yeah, it's a risky game though, because like he's saying, I gave it a chance, you blew it. It's over. So Freddie can very well just walk out of the office and that's that. But he's gambling on Freddie doing the right thing. And God bless all of us. Our pal Stallone steps up.
Well, what's the line when he leaves? He says, "If that cupcake makes a mess, we got a case again." Yeah.
Oh, that was what it was. Okay, here's my little story. So I went to go on my on-demand cable server to get on-demand Copland. It didn't have it on demand. I'm like, you got to be kidding me! Like I was going to pay $5, get it on. Even the Specialist was available on demand. Then I went to Amazon. Amazon didn't have it for rent in Canada. And then so I said, okay, fine, I'll just buy the DVD, because I'm like, if I spend $5, they're selling the DVD for $8 Blu-ray in Canada, $8 Canadian, so that's like $6 US. So I'm like, well, sure, why not? Why don't I'll own it. And it got here Wednesday. Now, my house, I've got a lot of kids in my house, and I often watch movies with captions, so I don't have to have it very loud, so I just watch it with captions. I got the one movie in Blu-ray history that has 0 features. It doesn't even have a menu. You put the Blu-ray in, and it just starts playing. There's no menu, no captions, nothing. So if you were a deaf person and bought this Blu-ray, you'd be like poop out of luck. So anyways, long story short, there was times during this movie, because I couldn't have it too loud because I had kids running around. I was like, what did he say there? Because I'm relying on what they're saying. That was actually one of the things. I was like, what did he say when he left there? I knew he was referring to, if he stirs up trouble, we'll get something out of this guy. But he said cupcake. All right. Anyways, it's frustrating.
Wow, that was a long walk for that one.
Well, it's part of my story that I don't pirate things. I don't like to pirate things. I like to buy it, and I'm surprised I don't own this yet. Anyways, so long story short, I'm able to order it from the US. I'm getting the director's cut Blu-ray. It's going to be here later, but too late now. Anyways, I'll own it though, but I'll own the director's cut shortly. That's all I knew, Doug. The camera's on you. I'm just going to point to who's next. You go.
All right. Well, so Freddie goes back and he ends up finding Murray. He digs a little bit and he finds Murray Babbage hiding after they try to kill him. After Ray and his boys try to kill him, he finds Murray hiding out in the water tower. Right.
Well, good thing they had that above ground pool that they could have attempted to drown him in, because they would have had to get him into a bathroom, into a bathtub instead, right?
Why was it so hard to kill him? Why did they just why drown him?
He needed to have water in his lungs, right?
Oh,
see, they supposedly drowned. Yeah.
They didn't spell that out for me, so I needed another synopsis. We got to drown him in the pool because he has to have blood in his, water in his lungs. That's what I needed.
Yeah, chlorinated water, which I don't know.
It was rain. It was rainwater. Okay, so he slips the jab, runs away, and let's get to the final gunfight here. Let's just get to the bee's knees of this last scene.
Well, okay, so the bee's knees starts with Freddy going back to the bar and telling Ray, he goes, "I got Superboy. I'm going to turn him in tomorrow." And he's like, "Why don't you do the right thing? Come with me. We'll all go together.
Kumbaya.
You'll cop to your shit, and Murray will cop to his, and everything will be fine, right?"
Right.
And then Ray gives this beautiful, this Harvey Keitel speech.
And he's great in this film too, by the way.
Your plan is the plan of a boy. Made it on the back of a matchbook without thinking, without looking at the cards.
In other words, don't shut me out, Heflin. Yeah. Oh,
so Ray's not going. He's like, sure, yeah, 6 o'clock tomorrow, I'll be there. But what happens is Freddy gets ambushed. They take Superboy. They blow out Freddy's good ear. So we hear that like it's like the constant feedback now. He's bleeding through from his ear. Like everything else for the rest of the movie, everything's in slow motion. The shootout.
Yeah, it's a very effective scene because we're feeling stressed out as a viewer for his safety. We're feeling the danger that it's around the corner for him. He can't hear anything. He doesn't know where guys are, if they're alive or dead, if they're moving around. And then he shoots the one guy in the car, and then he shoots the T-1000 after that. Yeah. And then
he's got the best death scene in the movie, right?
Yeah.
The look on his face when he gets shot and falls back is like he can't believe that Freddie Heflin's the guy that took his life.
That's awesome. And then Heflin's about to get shot by another guy. And Ray Liotta comes out of nowhere.
Yeah, the biggest hero moment.
Well, he does get shot by that guy. He gets shot like in the back of his shoulder.
Yeah.
And then he's ready, to finish him off. And then, the hero, Ray Liotta, comes out of nowhere and blows him away.
I love how he's got a smoke in his mouth.
Yeah. But right after he kills that guy, he sees Ray in like the picture window of his house.
Yeah.
He gives him the death stare before he brings his gun on.
Yeah.
Blows out the front window. Great
stuff. So that window just goes. Then Ray goes up there to finish him off, and it's always a weird scene. It must be first thing in the morning because his wife's still lying in bed. Yeah. And Superboy's about to jump out another window. Boy, he jumps off bridges, jumps out of houses.
Yeah. Well, it's either die by Ray's hand or die by jumping out of a second floor window.
And he was handcuffed too, wasn't he?
I don't think at that.
No,
he had a handcuff on.
He must have been sleeping with his wife too.
Jesus.
That was
maybe Harvey Keitel, Ray. Maybe he was a cuckold. He liked to watch all of his cop friends make love to his wife. That's the whole story.
He came.
Maybe that's what De Niro was saying. You blew it. She blew it.
Oh my goodness.
You know what I love about this though? When Ray comes, he sneaks in behind Freddy, and then Figs shoots at Ray, which like just a little. Craig, you're right over there. Just
he should be called
like the muff.
That's what the thing is. They're all cuckolders. And Heflin was never invited to the party. He never got to put his keys in the bowl.
No, because he doesn't have a partner to swap.
That's right. Okay, all right. And see, that's true. So once Ray Liotta's girl died, he had to leave town because he had no one to swap with.
Oh, there you go. Yep. But it's 200.
All right. Well, we've reached the end of our. Go ahead.
No, I just wanted to finish up. Like when so Ray ends up no, not Ray. Freddy ends up shooting Ray, and Ray, as he falls, he's dying on top of his NYPD uniform. Did you notice that?
Very poetic.
On top of it, you see the NYPD patch right by his head.
And he's saying a lot of stuff that probably isn't appropriate for this podcast because if you can read lips, he's saying much profanity, right?
He's actually saying, Fred, you were next. You were next in line with my wife. You just had to wait.
And then Freddy's got that great line where he says, "I can't hear you, Ray."
Love that line.
That's great. And then, of course, he brings him in, Ray Liotta, looking horrible. Like Stallone's character is covered in blood, and he still looks better than Ray Liotta. Ray Liotta just he looks horrible in this movie. And I don't know, was it the makeup people applying makeup or not giving him any makeup? I
think Liotta himself was on a 3-day coke bender.
I know.
Throughout the whole filming.
It's 7 years after Goodfellas. He hasn't recovered from his method acting.
Yeah, if you haven't listened to it yet, he was on Mark Maron's podcast within the last couple months, and great episode. A lot of insight into Ray Liotta and what made him the actor he is today.
Cool. In fact, speaking of Michael Rappaport, he has a podcast, and Robert Patrick was on it recently as well, and I couldn't find him. I'm going to look for it again. And they talk specifically about Copland throughout that episode. So all of our 5 listeners, when you're done with this one, go find that one. You'll probably be better. But watch ours first because, Michael's a professional. We're just ham and eggers. So what do you guys give this movie? Do you out of 10, out of 5? How do you want to do this?
You want to give it stars?
I don't know. Like, how do you rate this in the canon of
rating?
films?
Oh.
I think it's one of his best.
Okay, take away Rocky and Rambo. Is there a better film that he's done?
I would say no. I love this film.
There's certain people that might argue Nighthawks could give this movie a run for its money in terms of what Sly delivers, but I think if you take Rocky and Rambo out of the equation, it's really hard not to have Copland sit right at the top. And then right underneath it, Ants and Spy Kids 3D, game over.
What about Ratchet and Clank? Where do you... Yeah, it's tough. It's top 3. I don't know which order I'd put them in right now. But like non-Rocky Rambo, you're looking at top 3 for me, or like not in this order, but Cliffhanger, Lock Up, and Copland. Those are movies where you're just like, and I really want to talk about Lock Up. I don't know which one we're going to talk about next, but maybe I'll throw Lock Up in the mix for my vote. For we'll have the audience. I knew Copland was going to win, but for the record, how dare you? Who was it that put in Copland again?
Mr. Doug.
Okay, Doug. What did I put in? Assassins. You put in Get Carter there, Craig. That was the vein I was going for. Doug's like, I'm going to put in his best movie ever. Well, of course, people are going to vote for that. Jeez.
Well,
you didn't put any parameters on it.
We can't do Lock Up next because we can't do 2 Stallone movies that take place in New Jersey back to back.
Oh, okay.
That's true.
I'll think of another one. I might put Assassins back in the mix. Maybe for our tens and tens of listeners, let's get Assassins going. But that'll be fun. So let's just close up the show. I'll just remind everyone I'm Ryan, and if you want to listen to me on my other podcast, it's all about the Rocky series. It's called Going the Distance, the Rocky Series podcast. If you want to listen to me there, check me out, and I do that with my brother, and Doug and Craig have been on it. Craig, you've been on it, so I always love these guys, and the reason why we're doing this is because I think we just like each other. I think we get along on the podcast world, and I think it's fun just to connect in a way that doesn't step on each other's toes, really, and we can still just, you can never talk about any movie more than too much, is what I mean. It's like we could talk about Copland or Lock Up on our other shows as well. You can never talk about it too much. Doug, why don't you tell the audience who you are?
I'm Doug. I'm a co-host of Rocky Minute. We're similar to Ryan, but we take a different approach. We break down the Rocky Minutes 1 minute of movie time at a time for each episode. So I mean, our first season where we covered the movie Rocky was 118 individual episodes. So
It's awesome.
we're gearing to start Rocky 2. So duelinggenre.com is where we release our episodes there.
Right on. And I'm Craig from the SlyCast, and we may not put out episodes with as much frequency as Ryan and Doug.
They're just better.
But there is I think 25 episodes now, including our crossover episode which was the first episode of this podcast where we cover the specialist. But SlyCast, we examined Sylvester Stallone's career from his very early days in sequential order up until his present day work. And our next episode, whenever that is, we'll be covering the classic Judge Dredd.
Hey.
Oh, Judge Dredd. Yeah, boy. Yeah.
Ryan's excited.
Yeah, well, yeah. Well, I'd love to hear your discussion on that. Maybe down the road when enough time has passed, we can cover that as a trio ourselves, because that'd be a fun one to talk with you guys as well.
Fun's one word.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks, guys. As always, it's an awesome pleasure to talk with you guys, and I hope our listeners enjoy it as much as we did doing it. And I want to apologize for the confusion. Next time we do this in October, we're trying to do this once a month. I will make sure that it goes through the proper Sylvester Stallone Podcast Network. I should have said that for our listeners. The channel on YouTube is called the Sylvester Stallone Podcast Network. It's pretty cool. If you actually just punch in Stallone Podcast, we're like third already down the list, so it works out really nicely. So come like us on there, subscribe there, like us on there. That way you will never miss a once a month episode regarding this trio of us.
And actually, little do you know that for the past hour and 45 minutes, people have been staring at that screen waiting for us to go live.
I know.
Thousands of people.
Thousands. Yeah, I didn't verify the account on time. It's a new account, and I panicked. So that's why we're going through this channel, but it'll be all ready to go next time. All right, guys.
Well, you know what, Ryan? Also, we just hit the hour 45-minute mark. So if somebody's going to listen back to this, they can watch along to Copland and have us talk about things completely unrelated to what they're seeing on the screen. But it would still be fun. And the movie would be over when we're done.
That's awesome. Live commentary. Awesome.
Love it. You blew it.